Okay, so here is the almost completed project. But as you can see, all of the forms have been pulled. Everything's been cleaned up. So the only thing that we have left to do, 2 items. One, we have to backfill between all of these pads with the gravel or the stone that the client wants to use. This is the patio area. Over here is the driveway. They wanted it to be really consistent. The driveway was in pretty bad shape, so they just decided to do it all at the same time. Over here, you can see we've got the bench and the planters. So you can see where the planters are, there and there. And here, this is going to be a long bench, and the client is going to put cushions there for seating. So you've got the exposed face, which is board formed. I don't know how well you can see it. And then the only other thing we need to do is seal it. If you're going to seal concrete, you need to wait 28 days for it to fully cure before you apply the sealer. Now, people will tell you, and I'm sure somebody's going to say in the comments, concrete does not fully cure at 28 days. It cures for years and years afterwards. Granted, but for all intents and purposes, 28 days is what is required and what's considered the adequate amount of time for concrete to fully cure. So we're probably going to bring in the gravel and fill all of these spaces about halfway up, so that gives us room to really seal the top of all of these pads really well and over into the side. Once we do that, we'll fill up the rest. Another thing I'll point out is the finish on all of this concrete we did out here. It's a nice sand finish. We used the top cast #1, so it gives it some texture, but it's not too aggressive, as you'll see here. And what that does is it provides traction when this concrete gets wet. If you've got exterior concrete, it's going to get wet at some point, whether it rains, whether there's dew that settles on it in the morning, or somebody spills a drink. Okay, now compare that with the finish on these prefab pavers that the client bought. Super smooth, really slick. They look beautiful, but if those get wet, you have to be very careful when you walk, because there's a very good chance that if you don't pay attention, you'll slip and fall. That's about all we have left to do. Once we have everything completed, it's planted, cushions are on, everything's backfilled, it's sealed, maybe even some furniture out here, and it's ready to go, I'll do one last video to show you guys.